It's just me, myself, and I. Solo ride until I die. Cause I got
Good morning, everyone. It is BC Dagger and XKCD on the microphone, bringing you another fantastic English cast of the National Star League. Good morning, XKCD.
Good morning, BC Dagger. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm casting from the fine west side of this country, the United States.
Oh, that is right. You are on the West Coast this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm casting from the West Coast, so this is a 3-hour earlier cast, to put that in perspective. So it's 2 a.m., and then after this cast, I'm going to have to go to sleep for 2 more hours and then wake back up for work.
Well, that's actually not bad. I'm going to be able to do the same thing since I have class at 9, unless the games go that long. So
That's right. And guys, speaking of games, we are going to have the bronze match today. It is going to be Sharp versus Zero. We welcome everybody back from the semifinals. If you were there to watch the other English stream today, we are the only one. So hopefully you can find yourselves an enjoyable time with the Dark Archon, I guess you could say, because we're the second one to come around.
yeah, that is right. And remember, the Dark Archon is cooler than the regular Archon.
Yes, he does have a nice air conditioning unit inside that Psy outfit that he does wear.
And more importantly, it's the color red and black.
Yes. Absolutely. Red and black making a solid combination. In fact, red and black is the only color you should wear on prom day.
You think
Dark. So, I was looking at the map pool for the third and fourth place match, but then also the finals match. And I feel like both players got really good, or both matchups got really good pool draws.
Yeah, I have to say, like, at least for today, it's going to be pretty good. I mean, we are going to be playing Zerg Breakage twice, which I think is actually a fair map for Zerg and Terran.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be played out really well. We've actually really not seen any bad games ever in ZVT with Circuit Breaker. So I think that this one could be a pretty good series because of that. Then we're going to follow up with Matchpoint, Fighting Spirit, and Gladiator as the following maps.
Right. Matchpoint might be a pretty difficult map for Zero, but I think he still might be able to take it in 4 games. We'll have to find out. Of course, yeah. It is Sharp, so who knows what could happen.
Yeah, exactly. I think Matchpoint has been the one map to really cause Zerg some trouble. But we saw the top Zerg player by Hero get eliminated right at the beginning of this tournament, just because he couldn't overcome Terran on Matchpoint. It was really, just one of those situations where it sucked that it was a best of one, that all his marbles were on the line,
right,
because of that map.
But at the same token, though, you gotta have at least some best of ones in a tournament, not like do the entire tournament as a best of 3. Otherwise, we could be catching all day, every day.
That's right. Not that we would hate that, but
nah,
we do got to get through this tournament here. So we are seeing the results of the semifinals here, and both series ended up with 3-1.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, though, like I was hoping Shark would actually have won that match point game, but unfortunately he wasn't able to come through and even go to the 5th final map. But for Effort and Zero, we saw last day on Monday, I believe. Man, it's been a while since we had casted Brood War already. That we had some issues with Zero and his mid-game gameplay.
Yeah.
So of course you can...
Yeah, so now we find Zero in this bronze medal match. I saw that there was some discussion over how the prize pool was going to get distributed between the 3rd and 4th player, but I'm pretty sure that, both of them will have some sort of payout, regardless of the result here.
Right.
And You know, I'm sure we could save this information for the finals, but let's talk a little about what happened the past couple days with Bisu.
Oh
If
man.
you guys aren't familiar, there's this thread that started on Team Liquid, and it says Bisu must get loaded from Africa. And the whole purpose of the first post was to discuss how much money Bisu gets from streaming, but it turns into immediately a different thread because Bisu loses a bet to Terror, and he ends up having to shave his eyebrows off.
Oh man.
Have you seen that picture?
Yes, I have.
It looks terrifying.
Don't worry.
Nobody should ever go without eyebrows.
Don't worry. Vamp products will fix that. That's what Vamp is there for.
That is the hope. I hope this is just one big like Vamp product, you know, marketing scheme that is gonna play out, and they're gonna put some fake eyebrows on Bisu.
Of course. That's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. We've got to convince ourselves that. But I mean, if it isn't, I can't wait. If the effort rumor is also confirmed, I can't wait to just go into that drama on the finals. Because the finals, you know, rumor to this entire story was that effort was the one who actually played instead of Terror, and they lied to Bisu. So when Bisu lost, he actually lost to effort.
Right.
That's some crazy drama. But you know what? Effort didn't win straight up. He apparently had a map hack, so he was able to use that to his advantage too.
Well, if I recall correctly, what happened was that Bisu gave Terror/Effort map vision. So obviously, when you're a Zerg player, you can't really lose in that situation.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to see Sharp in his booth, looking smug today.
Yeah, are we gonna hear it, XKCD? I know you're just jonesing to say it.
You can't blunt the Sharp!
Well, let's hope he's found a pencil sharpener or something. Get himself ready for this bronze match, because he's gonna have to rebound from what looked like a pretty hard loss to him. He seemed very, very shaken in the booth after, you know, that match point game when he had to type out that final GG. So I'm hoping that he can at least find his composure.
Of course, here, and we do see Zero right now with this fancy keyboard.
Is Zero ever awake when these games start? I mean, this man...
I have no idea, man. I have no idea.
I'm just gonna be honest. He's always so just like blah.
You know, he just might be you right now. You know, they have to wake up in a couple hours, stream some more.
Yeah,
like,
guys, this will be my first official cast without coffee in my system. I'm really hoping that I can start to spin up and be energetic. Oh boy.
Well, I don't have coffee at all either, so this might just be a sleepy day, but hopefully the gameplay will revitalize everyone and everybody will wake up.
But you don't need the coffee because you do the boring stuff like analyze the game.
No, that requires coffee. It may be boring, but it still requires a lot of brain power, right? I mean, I'm telling you right now, some people don't have it, and they get paid to cast this game.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, guys, so we're going to game number 1. This is the Braun match. We're going to keep it light today, but also it's just going to be lots of fun. Going to the Circuit Breaker, XKCD, let's hear those spawns.
Alrighty, in the top left, as the brown Terran, it's going to be Sharp, and of course in the top right, as the white Zerg, who's probably sleeping as well, it's going to be Zero. You know, that'd be really funny if like every match today was like a no rush 20 because both players just couldn't care less, since they haven't made it to the finals.
Yeah, well, we either see something like a no rush 20, or maybe the players just both go F it, and they'll just start like all in each other really crazy strategies. You know, Sharp should just take a card from mine and go for the bunker rushes. That's the only way to do it.
One base Terran against 5 base Zerg.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like the epic Jaedong versus Flash series where they ended up cheesing each other.
Of course.
Oh,
you know,
man. 2 racks versus 4 pool.
You know, I would like to take this time that we should make an announcement to Blizzard and to Africa that we want to have Avalon in the next tournament.
Oh my God! Stop pushing it.
I will keep
pedaling
pushing
for
it.
the map.
We are allowed to pedal for something. We get to pedal for Vant, and I want to pedal for Avalon.
Well, I think Electric Circuit should be brought back. What the heck happened to that map is my question. Everybody's just kind of forgotten about it. And I feel like it's the counterpart to Circuit Breaker.
Right, but I think people just, at least the tournament organizers, prefer Circuit Breaker over EC. But of course, both maps are very solid. Like, I do like Electric Circuit. I think we've seen a lot of high-quality ZVPs on it. So it looks like we're just going to have Zero here with a 12 hatch. Of course, Sharp opening up with a 1 rack to expand.
Right, and so what do you think about these positionings for these players?
You know, it can't really say much right now, but it's going to allow for very... I want to say, like, if the game goes delayed, we're going to have a lot of troubles at the 12 o'clock base for either player.
Yeah, and not in the generic typical fashion that we'll see in the TVP, though, where it just becomes like a staple fighting point.
No.
But, you know, definitely that 12 o'clock is going to be a spot for contention in the later stages of the game. But I feel like we're just going to see Zero expanding away from Sharp. So he's going to be working his way from the top down on the right side of the map to get his expansions. Because what you really want to do is take far expansions and force Terran to travel a really long distance to pressure your third.
That is true. You know, Terran has to make the decision, like, does he want to attack your faraway expansions or does he want to close in onto your natural? Oh, look at this, though. Sharp get in the way with the gas steal.
Oh, a nice cheeky move early on. I mean, fortunately, you do have a hatchery already at that natural base. You can throw the gas up there. And so a pretty quick response there to throw the gas at the natural base. I guess one thing you could say is, like, what does that do now that the natural gas has been taken? Is say there's, like, some early marine pressure. Maybe you could just kind of try to focus it down. But other than that, I really don't think it actually hurt Zero too much.
Nah, I mean, at the most, you're just gonna delay Mutalisk or, you know, tech units by a couple seconds. But we have seen, you know, a couple seconds matter a lot in GVT. So, anything could happen.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the third base for Zero. Now, actually, let's first say that Zero is one of those players who might not take a third base until he gets up to Hive Tech.
No, that is true.
We've commonly seen him do it. He actually just turtles off of 2 bases. He goes, Zerg really can just stay on 2 bases? It doesn't seem to make sense when you do the numbers and crunch it against, you know, how Terran's open. But yeah, Zero finds a way to do it. He can defend with lurkers. He works his way up to Dark Swarm. And then once he gets those defilers out, he pushes out and, like, mass expands. He doesn't just take a third, he takes a fourth and a fifth. And he does it so quick and efficiently that it's just like he completely makes up for the economic deficit he's in by staying on 2 bases for so long.
That is correct, BC Dagger. We're going to see Sharp here actually going to go for a very early +1 4 or 5 rack build here. He's going to want to take advantage of the lurker timing that Zero could be going for.
Yeah, I do like what Zero just did there with his Zerglings, though. He ran them in because he's trying to count how many Marines have been added up to the front. He can't really get a scout in, but if he can just keep a solid number on how many Marines have been queued up to the natural base, it's going to be a good indicator for him how much he needs to build and when does he need to drop those sunken columns.
Right, of course, but seeing that Sharp is going for the 4 racks, it looks like right now, Zero's going to have a hard time if he wants to take an early third. So I think Zero's plan, if he does go for that 2 base hive, should actually work out for this game.
Yeah, definitely. He won't have to worry about trying to defend that third base. And what you have to do when you have that third across the map is try and, like, rush to Nidus so you can try and get your units over there, or get your lurkers real fast so you can have some lurkers to defend the ramp. But instead, he really only has to focus on having a good, solid SimCity at the natural. And so I think that's going to be fine for Zero, someone who really usually doesn't have that much trouble creating a good defense at his natural base.
You know, of course, scans now coming up here for Sharp. You're going to want to start thinking about putting those turrets down. Maybe like the next 30 seconds or so. Once the Mutalists actually start moving across the map.
Yeah, and so every Marine lost here would actually be pretty big because he's going to need to make sure he has the proper defense if he doesn't have those turrets up.
We do see Good scanning by Sharp. Gonna see the spars just about to pop, so he knows exactly when he has to put the turrets up here. Meanwhile, Zero's probably gonna add another sunken or two, just to be safe. And already, here comes Sharp's move out.
Yeah, so this is a pretty solid timing right now. I like that he has the fire bat mixed in here. Once he gets across this bridge, he's going to be in a pretty good position. But wow, Zero doing a great job of trying to snipe these Marines here. And in fact, getting a few hits on that medic. But it looks like ultimately those Zerglings are just going to have to run themselves away.
Of course, this is one of the tenets of having, 4 barracks producing very early on, is that you're going to have a lot of units to work with.
Yeah, so this is going to come down to Mutamiker right here. Can Zero push back Sharp as he tries to march his way out onto the map? And look at this, actually, Sharp is making his way down to the bottom right. So he really hasn't done an initial scout to see if there is a base there. And, if he does end up wasting his time going down to the bottom right, that's already a huge victory for Zero.
Right, at the same token, though, Sharp does know where Zero's going to expand, because there's not really other good location on this side of the map to expand to. Of course, you could try to be, cheeky or sneaky and try to hide it in the bottom left, but that's not really going to happen most of the time.
All right, so the best way to engage here is going to be with those Mutas and Lings at the same time, but look at that. The Fire Bat just cleaned up those Lings so quickly, and I feel like the Mutas were brought in just a second too late, but still, Zero is going to clean it up, but I feel like maybe he could have been a little bit more efficient if those Mutas engaged at the same exact time as the Ling.
Yes, of course. However, this is still a pretty big win for Zero, though. He did knock down the primary threat of Sharp here, and his next Marine medic force is going to be way weaker. Now there's no fire bat and only one medic to work with.
Yeah, exactly. He needs at least a second medic to really, keep that Marine force up really well. But that is still quite a bit of Marines. They have range and they have stim. So think about that. It's going to be really hard for these Mutas to get in here. And wow, just the complete surround of Sharp is going to make it difficult for those Mutas.
Look at this, though. Sharp already tacked up to vessels. He's going to get the science facility up and going here. And the question is, where is Zero's lurkers? Or rather, his Hydras?
Yeah, I love this from Sharp because getting those vessels out is going to pretty much kill the air attack for Zero. If a Radiate does come out, those Mutas are just going to be rendered useless. And then we will have to see Zero transition his tech to the ground.
All right, of course, here.
But then also on top of that, he has the science vessels for lurkers. So it's just like they're a mainstay unit right now in this particular ZVT that really it's just going to pay dividends for Sharp.
But unfortunately, though, looks like Sharp missed a time where he could have actually continued pushing up into the third base of Zero. So he's going to let Zero get away with that third base, not much of a challenge. Of course, both players have been trading units back and forth in the middle of the map, but I think Sharp missed an opportunity to actually get a third base down. Look at this, though. A sneaky expansion by Zero in the bottom left. This is actually something we haven't seen before, ever.
Yeah, taking that fast fourth on the bottom left is generally something that we haven't seen from him. You know what, though? Sharp, as long as he does keep his units alive, I just saw that he actually built a couple tanks, and that's going to make his force really strong. So if he does decide to go for pressure on the bridge at the natural, those tanks are going to take down the sunken colonies really quick, and then he can push in. So I think that it is best that he does try and, get those tanks with his main army.
Oh, I like this, though. Zero stacking his lurker on top of each other to try to bait Sharp into pushing up the ramp here, but I think Sharp's not going to fall for it. He's going to want to try to expand to his own third here. Get that command center started.
For those of you looking on and thinking, what, there's only one lurker, he could just march up in there, there are two things that happen. One, yeah, XKCD mentioned that stacking lurkers makes it so you really can't see the numbers of the lurkers, and you're kind of baited into it, going to the attack as you think you only have one to fight. And then on top of that, Terran has to scan move. They have to use a scan to be able to see the top of that ramp before they can attack forward, because they actually don't have the vision of those lurkers, and it makes it really difficult to get up that ramp because the spine attacks are so efficient to the Marines funneling up a ramp.
But look at this, though. Here comes the big first major push coming in from Sharp right now. We do see the vessel going to start coming to play, but however, these tanks are out of position. Zero might be able to get one. And
that is big. Losing that initial tank. Usually those two tanks are all you need to make your push just really strong here. And losing one tank is already just putting a huge kink in the armor.
However, Zero does not have the fires out yet, so it's going to be a while until Sharp can break his way up his ramp here. That vessel is going to be quite a nuisance to deal with.
Yeah, and you see that siege tank already just overcoming the weakness that the Marines have in dealing with lurkers on the ramp. But a Dark Swarm coming out is going to make it pretty easy to keep those lurkers alive, as long as the Defiler can just hang out there. I wonder if Consume's already finished for the Defiler at this time.
Oh, the vessel taking one Scourge hit. It's going to be, and Sharp's going to be forced to back off immediately. That's a Dark Swarm.
Well, you know what? Scourge hits are a rabbit hole here. If the Scourge don't efficiently kill off these science vessels, you're going to see that Zero's just lost a ton of gas into the Scourge. So you need to make sure that you're very efficient with them when you do trade them for vessels.
And it looks like a drop must have happened here, because I'm not sure how these Marines even got into the natural.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be the only way here, but suddenly with the Observer just clicking over, we're seeing that the Marines really did a great job of forcing the drones out of that line, getting a few kills there, and so a nice efficient little attack for Sharp.
You know, I just keep thinking about, like, when is Sharp going to find out about that bottom left base? Because if Zero can get away with it, that's an additional gas that Sharp hasn't accounted for. If you're thinking right now that your opponent only has 3 gases, and he suddenly comes out with, 4 gases, you can see, like, Ultras come out way sooner than you expected. Or just
absolutely, that's a good point. If Zero can just bring that much faster timing, you're going to see Sharp in a lot of trouble.
And right now, we're already seeing that Sharp is already going for the mech switch, so he's going to start building a lot of factories and just get rid of his barracks. Just go pure mech units, and this is a very dangerous timing for Terran if they don't... Oh, look at this, though. As I was about to say, if they don't figure this out, and it looks like Sharp's actually going to see that secret base. So the question...
Yeah, but like you mentioned, Sharp is very weak on the map because he's doing that mech transition switch. He really has, like, what he has for Marines, and then the Vultures that slowly trickle out onto the map are all the map control that Sharp will have. So Zero could actually, take this opportunity if he realizes the mech switch is happening and move his units out to start taking map control for himself.
Right now, it doesn't really help that Sharp didn't really do any damage with his first major push, with the Marines and medics at the third base or in the middle of the map here. However, he is pushing into this fourth base right now.
Yeah, this is turning out to be a really good attack. It looks like he has an opportunity to take this, but the Defiler is not going to bail out. Instead, he's going to throw down a Plague and let the Lings clear it up. So a nice Plague to start this game.
Well, they're a nice Plague, though. You're only hitting 4 units with it, and you're killing off drones. I don't know, man.
Every Plague's a nice Plague, let's be real. Oh, but these Vultures are just going to work, ignoring these Sunken.
Then every stasis is a nice stasis.
Well, it looks, though, that there has been a little bit of a pushback from Zero at the third base, at least. And now we're seeing the actual dropship here, XKCD. So another attempt by Sharp and unable to pull it off this time.
The great thing about this is that, yes, Zero's going to lose his bottom left base, but the fact that he kept his middles alive allows him to do a lot of cool things with it. And you saw that he's able to, like, use it to deflect dropship attempts. But more importantly, he has the opportunity to go for Guardians, so he's not going to have to waste, 1,000+ gas on rebuilding Mutalisks.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm always a big fan of Zerg realizing that they can just take their mutas and just set them aside. And they've got their later game purpose, that you can continue to use them for anti-drop ships and, like you said, Guardians later in the game. So I think it's a great way for Zero to just hold on to those units.
It looks like the mech switch has, finalized for Sharp here. The barracks are not going to be used anymore.
Yeah, which means that they're just going to be floated around to wherever Sharp just wants the extra vision for his mech army.
Right, of course. Slowly but surely trying to push this Marine force away from his fourth base.
And how do you feel about that Plague, XKCD?
That was a good Plague. It hit 1 tank.
Yeah, that was solid. It got the tank and the good chunk of Marines. I mean, that's going to immediately force the push back from Sharp.
I was thinking that if Zero kept that bottom left base alive, we might be able to see Queens in this game. So that additional gas could be, being directed towards the Queens.
Yeah, there's been this constant argument on the threads lately on whether Queens were have become a standard play over the past, 6 or 8 years. But really, Zero and Sulky being huge Queen players in ZVT, it hasn't completely caught on with any of the Zerg players at all. So I feel like while anybody's argument for, Queens are standard ZVT, no, Queens are standard ZVT depending on your player. It's definitely a play style.
Right, of course here. Meanwhile, a random Defiler and 2 Lurkers going to get caught out of position and will go down. At least the Defiler does. That's the important unit, of course.
It is always the important unit, and that is a ton of Lurkers moving out here. So looks like we're seeing Zero decide to just defend at a mineral only here. With the low ground, I mean, is this the best engagement here? The tank in the back still getting a few hits off on top of these Lurkers, but will die off.
Alright, of course, that might be the last of the major Marines. I think there might be like 2 or 3 more Marines on the map at the 3 o'clock base. But of course, Sharp already rapidly expanding though. He took his mineral only 3rd. He took his 9 o'clock base, and now he's taking the bottom left bases for himself as well. So we're already starting to see that split map scenario happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Sharp is doing one of the better jobs that I've seen a Terran player do of getting his expansions down at the bottom left while continuing to go mech. Sometimes you see that mech switch and they fall behind so quickly to a Zerg player who's already mass expanded. But I feel like Sharp is just dealing with Zero on the map at all fronts so efficiently.
But of course here, this hatchery might be going down though. The Terran pressure is pretty strong. There's no defilers to help the Zero engage this.
Yeah, exactly. So we're seeing that the mutas here were hoping to get a lot of shots in, but it looks like Sharp anticipated the mutas, and it has been building Goliaths. I don't think it's enough Goliaths, though. This is a huge muta flock, and actually tanks can go down really fast if the mutas can get into engagement here. So Zero looking really sharp right here to defense at this bottom right location.
Right, now he's going to be able to push away a lot of the tanks, though, but he revealed the fact he had a lot of mutas, and now it's going to force Sharp to start building vessels once again. If we've seen so far in this game, Sharp has, skipped vessels after this first one was built.
Yeah, he's only really built the necessary amount of vessels that he needed for his aggression, but now he's going to be in a lot of trouble, and you can see that turrets are going up all over the place. But I think that Zero's surprise with these mutas is going to weaken down this bottom left side so quickly.
Alright, here comes the first vessel right now. Could it get a radiate off? And Sharp, what are you doing? Oh no, Sharp doesn't have an energy on his vessel. It's gonna go down.
Yeah, he loses that vessel, and now I think that he's at least gonna lose this base. But has he lost the bottom left completely? That's the big question here. I don't know if Sharp can re-macro in time. And doing a great job of also counterattacking with Lings at that 9 o'clock location. So Zero is just starting to let loose on this Terran force.
Of course, one of the tricky things about going for the mech switch is you have to be very delicate about your unit composition. If you have too many tanks, mutas become a problem. If you have too many vultures and Goliaths, then Hydras can become a problem.
That's right, and these mutas just definitely being the first big threat here, taking out so many tanks. I mean, this force has just been completely whittled down, and I think that Zero can actually start thinking about, do I want to go for, that additional Greater Spire tech, bringing in Guardians and Devourers to start taking out this Terran army.
Right, but I think Zero needs to take at least one more gas before he wants to transition to that. Because right now he's only working off of 4 gases, and my stream is just going crazy right now.
Oh, no. Man.
Oh, man. Production value, guys. Production value.
Lagging the GG, huh?
That could be the case here, Beast Dagger.
No, I think that Sharp is still doing just okay on this map. And if we need to switch over to me being in control after this game, we'll do that, guys. I guess we do it mid-game if you want.
Nah. We're going to try to hopefully this will continue to work here.
We don't trust hotel internet, guys, which is why I'm the one who's not handling the production for today's cast. Anyway, so for those of you guys who can't see, there's just a lot of Goliaths that have been brought on the map. It's like almost a response to carriers, the number of Goliaths that we're seeing come out here, and it's just like an old school boxer style game of Goliaths versus mutas.
Of course it is. And I'm wondering what the upgrades are on the Goliaths right now. Do they have enough upgrades to deal with the mutas? It already has +2 carapace. That's actually a pretty advanced upgrade for Zero to go for. I think he might be really just committing to this.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that mind drag into the tanks. Oh god, that was sick. And now the Lings with their adrenal upgrades, they're just going into crackling mode. They are tearing everything up. The Lings are such a big threat here. Look at all those Goliaths XKCD.
Oh man, the Goliaths are not helping out right now. They're at the wrong place here. Immediately tearing apart the 9 o'clock base.
Yeah, the problem is there's all these Goliaths, but like with all the lings that are coming out, you need like mines to be able to efficiently just clear out troves of lings, and so it's going to be difficult for those Goliaths to trade as efficiently.
Right, once again, it's going to be controlling the game here. He doesn't even need to go for Guardians, but it looks like Sharp did manage to take out the 3 o'clock base, and here comes the first cow. Right, the Ultralisk.
Yeah, not just one though. We're seeing a pretty big group of Ultralisks that are being brought in here, and they do have the armor upgrades too, so they can trade really efficiently. But I think those tanks on the bridge actually did a really great job in dealing with them. You know, Zero needed to be more efficient on trading. Anytime you're trying to be the aggressor and the defender has the bridge advantage, I think the bridges are always as efficient as a high ground advantage. It just makes it so difficult to engage. And so you've got to be really just conscientious of that attack when you're attacking around a bridge.
Right here, and here, look at this though. Sharp does have the 3-2 upgrades for his ground units. So the Goliaths can do really a lot of DPS. And that hatchery is going to go down. I don't really see how Zero can defend.
Yeah, but I still think that Zero is in a pretty good situation here, even though Sharp seems to have just kind of staved off that bottom left attack.
Alright, looks like Zero's trying to push his way into Sharp's middle-only third here, but there's simply way too many mech units. Here comes the mine.
With that Dark Swarm there, it's going to allow the Ultralisks to get into melee range here, and they're just wailing away on these tanks. They're going to have a ton of trouble in dealing with this.
Alright, of course, but meanwhile, these Goliaths are doing a good job of deflecting the Medos away.
Yeah, I'm surprised how well the DPS of the Goliaths are against these Ultralisks, too. It seems like they're taking them down relatively fast.
Right, as it comes down to the upgrade, you know, it looks like Sharp actually probably went for like a double armory. He played really greedy with its upgrades, but at the same time, though, since he survived to this point, Zero's going to have a lot of troubles cracking Sharp's bases right now.
And we're still seeing the most annoying thing in the Zerg late game arsenal is these cracklings. And every time you have an opportunity, you see the army out of place, you just throw in a control group of lings, and you can easily take out workers. Really tough situation for Terran. You got to make sure you have units to defend with.
Right, you know, one of the issues I see right now is that he's been doing a lot of these Ultralisk attack, but he has no Zerglings to support the Ultralisk. Because, you know, the main DPS does come from the Zerglings at this point of the game. It doesn't actually come from the Ultras. The Ultras are there just to tank for the Zerglings. Now we're seeing the Zerglings come into play.
And I agree with that statement, and so it's a little late to start transitioning into a ton of lings when you don't have these Ultralisks here. It's just showing a much weaker showing of Zero's army. And I think we saw this in a hero game too, where he transitioned to Ling only because he had this huge mineral bank. But then once he lost his entire mineral bank because the Lings didn't trade efficiently, he was in a lot of trouble in the later stages. But now we're seeing the perfect composition. Defiler, Ling, Ultralisks. This is absolutely great for Zero right now.
Look at this though, the Vessels are starting to play here. Nice plague on, nice Dark Swarm, and of course the nice Irradiates here. Ooh, both players trying to micro the best.
Yep. And looking on the map, you can see that the 3 o'clock base, along with the gas, is still open for Zero to take. Zerg love to leave that 3 o'clock until the end, and it's just kind of like the base up their sleeve that they can end up taking. So still, Zero has an additional base that he can expand to if he does need that additional economy.
You know, I just keep waiting for the Guardians to pop up. I don't think Zero has the economy right now. His main and his natural mined out, so he's really only working off of 3 bases worth of minerals.
Yeah, absolutely. And he ended up losing his mutas for the most part, so he really doesn't have an air attack anymore. There's no more threat there, which means that the vessel production was able to just kind of slow down again for Sharp.
Right, at the same time, though, I mean, Sharp has slowly but surely been able to save off the attacks.
GG!
GG.
I can't believe it. You know, once Sharp was able to get that bottom 2 bases up, he just had himself in too good of a position. You know, with the mech buildings already, the factories already finished up, that was just a really solid play by Sharp overall.
Right, you know, Sharp is just waited out, just try to defend until his upgrade started to really kick in for himself, and Zero didn't really have a good attacking plan. He was just throwing units out whenever he could, not really thinking about his unit composition for each of these engagements, nor figuring out how am I going to keep up the economy war with Sharp.
Man, you know, I thought that Zero would be able to stay in that game a little bit longer. Did not expect it to go that way.
Alright, stream. I'm going to do a very quick reload of the stream. It's going to take like 1 second. It's going to be all
and
good.
Hopefully that works out the timing issue between the two of us.
That is true. Woo!
Nice sound effect.
Of course.
I apologize for saying your GG before you saw the GG.
Nah, it's all good, man. It is all good.
You got to get that custom window size set so that way you don't have to resize it to your screen every time.
That is true. But of course, this is still true quality Brood War production.
Absolutely. If you right click and go to window size and click set custom window size, then every time you go to window size and click custom size, it'll save it, or it'll bring it up correctly.
Right. Of course, that
Man, oh man, what a game! You know, I expected Zero to win this series.
you can't blunt the Sharp.
Absolutely. I mean, Sharp has shown pretty good ZVT throughout this tournament. Really, the one matchup that he has trouble with was the one that he got knocked out on, and which is PvP. He does have the weakness there.
Alright, I should say, not really a weakness, but an underdevelopment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just his skill level in PvP has not
translated
the level of his other matchups.
Of course. Heroes of incredible tales.
That's right. And guys, we're both operating off of no coffee.
No coffee, no nothing. Just straight up production and Brood War.
And we thank you guys who actually ended up watching the semifinals ZVZ from last week, or what was that, earlier this week?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, so earlier this week. So I mean that's really cool of you guys to hang around and watch this bronze match. I know it's not as exciting as Bisu's shaved eyebrows, but I am really excited to see that too. The finals is just going to be absolutely amazing.
It will be. It's going to have a big crowd. We'll be pumped up. We'll be excited for it.
Yep, and I'm going to take 2 shots for every game Bisu loses, so that way I have a completely sober cast.
Alright, how about this? You take 2 shots for every game Bisu loses. I'll take 2 shots for every game Effort loses.
Okay, you're going to get drunk so fast?
I'm a big guy.
It's going to be insane.
I'm a big guy. 6 shots is nothing, man.
Okay, 6 shots, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to beat you.
Well, it is a best of 5, so once you take your 6 shots, it's already over. GG.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it, though. We can just go back to sleep. Or if you're just pumped up, the adrenaline is flowing so much that the alcohol doesn't really do much.
Oh man. Well, good thing this isn't a bet over the Bisu versus Hero series, or else I'd be drunk.
Oh, that was a very lopsided match.
Yeah. You know, I wish I was drunk in the finals cast of the Hero versus Bisu finals, because at least it would be a good justification for why I was crying. But instead I had sober tears, and sober tears are the saddest.
Just like a true fangirl.
Uh-huh. And every time I cry, 1,000 puppies die in the most horrible way possible.
1,000? How do you know it's 1,000?
Think of the puppies, okay? Think of the puppies. I know it's 1,000 XKCD. It's the burden that I must deal with.
Why, did like BC descend down from heaven and told you about it, or how did this work out?
You know what? You're right. Bisu did descend from heaven. Okay, let's pick up another argument that's going on Team Liquid. Best Protoss of all time. Someone threw Stork out there over Bisu. And here's the deal. Bisu, in my opinion, is clearly number 1. There are too many stats that that support Bisu, I really think that you may have to start the argument of Stork or Jongbi for number 2 when you consider how well Jongbi finished off his career. And if StarCraft continued, would Jongbi have completely taken over that number 2 spot?
That's the problem, though, because we had Reign started to come up as a top tier Protoss the last year of Brood War. So the argument is still, if Brood War did continue, the argument could be completely changed today. And
well, okay, so we'll stop it. We'll freeze with Jongbi winning the last OSL. That's where it ends. That's the cutoff. You know, where do we put Jongbi's double OSL run? Is it as important? And to me, I'll say that I've always devalued Jongbi's success in the end, purely because a lot of the players were starting to transition their skill over to StarCraft 2, preparing for the switch. And I think, like, when he did take down Flash, wow, that was monumental. It was a great moment in history to see him tackle Flash. But I also think Flash's mentality had been slipping from StarCraft 1 in preparation for the transition to StarCraft 2.
See, the problem I have with naming Bisu as number 1 is that Bisu had, like, the worst PvT of all the top Protoss players. Like, whenever you think of Bisu back in the Pro League days, you're thinking of Bisu as a PvZ player or a PvP player.
You see, and that's false, actually. Bisu's PvT record is actually really good.
Yes, it is good, but
he had trouble consistently maybe taking down a top player like Flash, where he has a slightly lesser win rate versus him. But Bisu's PvT is actually insanely good. I believe he also has that above 60%. Someone mentioned it, I forget who it was, but that he has a higher PvT win rate than Stork, who is supposed to be the god tier PvTer. So you can see that PvT is actually one of his better matchups in the SOSPA era that we're in right now. Right. So
it's kind of funny that
I don't know. I feel like it's a bad argument. The only thing you could say is like what you see in chat: carriers. Bisu's the worst carrier PvTer of all time.
Yeah, but at the same token, though, you don't really need carriers to win. I think I think generally you go for carries when you think your opponent's going to be weak against it, or the map supports it.
All right, guys, we've got gate number 2 coming up here. Enough of the jibber jabber over Bisu versus Stork. Guys, both those players are pretty awesome. I think right now, though, you have Stork, who's a little bit of, playing the old man role, get off my lawn style. Well, seriously, he's really upset that a lot of these legendary players are coming back to Africa to do their antics and stream and have some fun. But they've been locked down. Really, these players didn't have a childhood. They don't have that opportunity to be immature and just let loose and have fun. And there's just like a decade of that is catching up to these players. So I think it's okay for Bisu, and the likes of other players to just kind of let loose on these streams.
Right, ultimately it's entertainment, right? That's what these players provide in the end. Of course, even like the top NBA players or the top NFL players, they're there to provide entertainment.
Right. It's entertainment, and it allows us to form better relationships with the players that we watch.
Right.
All right, game number 2 is coming on, guys. The counter has begun. Welcome to the National Star League, sponsored by Vant. I am BC Dagger along with XKCD, and let's see who got the better spot on match point.
Alrighty. We're going to be on match point, a 2-player map. And it looks like in the bottom left, as your yellow Terran, up 1 game.
Whoa! Terran B, thank you. Awesome.
Boing, boing, boing,
got
boing.
a new super fan.
A new
boing,
boing, boing, boing, boing. And of course, in the top right, as your green Zerg, is going to be 0. Welcome and joining the super fan list there, MB.
Yes, the super fan club. It is an awesome club to be in. Join it down at the bottom right. I believe you get to start choosing your color if you become a super fan. On top of that, you just have us who love you.
And it looks like we have a Chinese fan here all the way, coming in from Plu website. The Chinese community being represented here.
Look at you just breaking down that Chinese. So, in your opinion, what is the better spot on match point?
As a Zerg player, you want the bottom left, only because you can just glitch the larva over to the left side of the hatchery.
Yeah, I'm just a total bottom lefter fan anyway. I like playing for the bottom left and working myself up on this map.
That is true.
I don't know why, but in general, I just like having the bottom left spawn of any map.
Whoa, BT Dagger. We're seeing a 9 pool coming out here from 0.
Well, I mean, how bad is that really, though? We do have the barracks at the wall. And it already just creates that natural choke now. So I think that Sharp still will be in a fine position, even though this is a 9 pool.
Yeah, but Sharp is going for an extremely early barracks as well. There's no supply depot yet for him. Mm-hmm. And he's going for the gas as well. So both players going for kind of like a cheesy build here. Rather, a very aggressive opening.
Yeah, more so I was started off by the super fast gas that we were seeing.
And look at this. Both players sending their scouting units out.
Wow, so both players are going really low, like, mineral econ in this game. And look at that. Is that a second SCV that's being sent across the map? I wonder what's going to play out here. Oh, we're seeing the factory! Oh my goodness, Sharp just loves going factory on this map. Proxy fact, XKCD.
You know, we might be able to see a double proxy fact, but this 9 pool could be a lot of trouble, though, if Zero could be scouting it out in due time. I don't think Sharp's going to be expecting a 9 pool against this.
Yeah, but he does have the wall up. Again, he's going to be in a pretty good position here, as long as he does have a Marine out. And he may end up having to pull an SCV or two.
Right, look at this though. Zero's starting to snip something up. He might be able to scout it. Is he going to scout the proxy factory? Yes, he will. Busted.
Yeah, the proxy factory being seen here.
Busted.
Oh man. So how's this gonna play out for Sharp? Wait. Oh my goodness.
I think the SCV is going to go down here, and this factory is not going to be able to be completed. What will Sharp do?
So I feel like I still have a couple seconds ahead of you on the stream because I didn't want to reveal it, but yeah, the SCV going down. Oh my god.
Okay, but the factory does finally complete though, so we will see the first vulture come out here. Meanwhile, Zero does have a. He's going to go for the in-base creep colony here. It's a good decision by him. Because there's no way his Zergans have enough speed to chase down these vultures just yet.
Yeah, now here's the deal. With all these lings out, he can at least start focusing down this factory. You know, perfect vulture control is going to have to come out here.
We're seeing the micro coming in here. Can Sharp do it? Can he micro all these Zerglings down?
I'm going to let you do a little bit more of the live play-by-play so that way we can deal with the lag here. But right. Yeah, that vulture did a pretty good job, actually. It took a couple initial hits, but once Sharp broke free, his patrol micro was really good. For those of you guys who aren't familiar, each unit has a unique way of optimizing the micro, whether it be with hold, attack, or patrol. And for vultures, it's patrol. So you got to use the P key efficiently. And basically, you hit the P key and click away from the unit, and the patrol micro will allow it to turn around and attack, and then immediately you right-click to start moving the unit away again, so it doesn't just stay to attack.
Right, and of course here, 2 vultures already out here. Sharp's just gonna fall back, just hold the map presence he has here. Meanwhile, it's a very early defiler done. Sorry, lurker done. Hydra done. Oh man,
it's a good point. A good point from Hyrule Gambit is that if you guys come from League of Legends, it's basically a way to deal with the animations because everything's kind of sprite based. There's a way that you can play tricks into the animations to get your shots off most efficiently.
Oh man, my brain is not working this morning. The first Hydras are now out 4-0. Here's the thing,
What's going
though.
on?
My brain's not working.
Where'd it go?
Where'd what go? There are no lurker dens, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a Hydra den.
And you know what? I just stumbled upon this great book that is narrated by Samuel L. Jackson called Go the F to Sleep. And it's a kid's book about Samuel L. Jackson as the father, and he wants the kid to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that is just what rang in my head right now. I don't know if you guys have read that book or heard the narration. You got to go find it. Literally, it's Samuel L. Jackson telling kids to go the F to sleep.
All right. Meanwhile, we are going to see the Hydras, move around the map here. Just try to figure out what vision they can take for themselves. We should see the expansion coming up pretty soon from Sharp.
Yeah, so Hydras are out on the map. Look at this. Wait, was that a cancel next to the bunker?
I believe so.
Interesting. So I guess he decided not to build a supply depot there. There's a lot going on with Sharp right now. He is trying to change so much. So is Starport coming out?
I think Sharp is going to go straight into Valkyries.
Yeah, he really just wants to deal with air. But I mean, like,
he has to.
What if Mutas didn't pop out and this just turned into like a huge, heavy Hydra force, like a PVZ style, just a bunch of Hydras coming out?
Then the Marines and Medic will be enough to deal with it.
Will it though? I mean, like, if he's investing in the Starport Valkyrie tech and he's just completely reading the situation wrong, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but at the same token, though, I've yet to really see like a Hydra Lurk force beat Marines and Medics.
Oh, an attack on this Overlord here, and it looks like he is going to end up taking that Overlord out. Nice little snipe there, but Zero just trying to get some vision on here, try and read the situation. I don't think that he was able to see that Starport.
So we do see an early science facility, so it may not just be Valkyries, it might just be going for the very fast vessels to deal with these Mutas.
Yeah, I think vessels are the better overall tech. If he can defend with the Marines and science vessels, then that's going to play out better for him and his overall composition.
Alright, quoting Mutas are now out here. Rather, they're spawning.
Yeah, I thought you suddenly jumped ahead of me. But turrets are coming up. So here's the deal. Matchpoint has a huge main, so turning up can be actually a bit of a puzzle. So where is the best spot to put your turrets? Clearly, Sharp wants to put 3 turrets near his building instead of trying to cover the entire space of his main base, where he doesn't really need to, put turrets on the ridge to defend against Mutas, because they'll just go ahead and fly by. You got to put them closer to your base, but get a nice spread out so you can have the minimum amount of efficient turrets to deal with Mutas.
And of course here, as you see that Sharp is still staying on one base. This reminds me of like Haya or Mind, where both they'll stay on like one base vessels and then just move out immediately and expand quickly right after that. So
it's a big question of, are all his marbles going to be in on this one attack though? Can he actually expand and continue the game behind this, or does he need to win with this one base attack?
Alright, look at this though. Sharp and Zero going to have the dance, the salsa dance, or the flamenco of the Mutas.
The salsa dance.
Well, what
the Mexican style movements of these Mutas. I don't even know where to go with that. They do make it away from that base though. Well, sometimes you just gotta let things go. So the Evo chambers are dropping. Zero trying to work towards his upgrades. Actually, that was a nice glaive hit there, right there from those Mutas. But still, I think because this is on one base, I mean, it's really easy to cover this ground for Sharp. He's not having too much trouble dealing with the Mutas.
No, I think what Sharp's really just waiting for is wait for the vessel to get enough energy for the irradiate. Just get the irradiate off, and then you can kind of start to move out. And we still have seen no signs of a command center yet, though. This might be an all-in on one base.
It's got to be. It's too late to build that additional command center. He's got to push across. But look at Zero. He really only has 2 bases too. So both these players playing, relatively low econ, low base style play in this game. And here comes the first irradiate.
Look at this irradiate not coming up here. Fantastic split. It's an okay split out thing. Actually, pretty good split. I would have to change my mind on that last statement there.
Yeah, at first I was like, well, is he going to separate them? But that unit split actually turned out really good. It takes a little bit of patience, because you have to find the one that's actually turning darker the fastest, so you can split it away from your group. So you've got to really have a good eye when you're looking at the pictures in your control group. On top of that, you got to start working on your split micro. So there's just a lot to it to be able to deal with irradiated Mutas.
Right, and the first tank is not out here for Sharp. The question is, though, does it have siege? I think it has siege. We haven't been really paying attention to the machine shop. look at that Hydra. Look at that Lurker Link Force, though. That's actually a pretty good Lurker Link Force. Meanwhile, Zero's going to move into the main base, try to get another turret. At least whatever you can with these metas.
That's right. And are you seeing this attack on the front, XKC?
Oh, yes, we are. It's going to be backed away, though. The DPS of the tank and the Marine is going to be way too much for these Lurkers to deal with. No circling support for it.
All right, show me exactly what you... Tell me exactly what you see on the screen so I can try and sync up my stream here. I'm going to do some pause play with my stream here.
All right, we're seeing the natural of Zeros. The Hive is coming up here right now. And then we see outside mineral third of Zero. And now we're seeing the third base of Zero. And of course, we're going to see Sharp take a posturing outside his natural. But he doesn't really fully moved out here. Nice to radiate onto the mutas way. Pretty good split from Zero as well.
Okay, it looks like we are synced up a lot better, guys, here. So I was able to make this work. Yeah, that irradiate still doing some pretty decent damage though on the muta.
And here's the thing though, like when you see like a one-base Terran in this situation, like you're thinking like, why hasn't the Terran already pushed out yet? You know, Sharp is just waiting until he can get the best army he can. But at the same time though, it's giving Zero ample opportunity to prepare for the attack. It's like reminds you of like a gladiator battle where both gladiators are just like shaping each other up for a very long time. Or like
that's right. And you know what, Zero, he has a huge lurker force that Sharp is going to have to really play efficiently into. And I feel like Zero's just so prepared for this, and he's going to probably try and catch him while he's in this bowl here. He's on the low ground, and so what Zero wants to do is trap him in here. He's got units from the south that are going to try and loop around here and flank from the left. So here's what Zero just did. Putting those lurkers down, he's cut off reinforcements that Sharp could come with. The entire army that is going to be in this attack is with Sharp right now. There's nothing else that's going to get there, and Zero's going to want to try and trade as efficiently as possible into this base. But here's one of the things that we've got to note is that the Hive is actually at the natural and within siege range.
Yeah, so Zero has to win this engagement, otherwise he's not going to have any the Hive tech unless he already has the building done right now. The third base working his wonders right now for Zero, and here comes the first. No, looks like Zero's just delaying as long as he can. Where is his first Defire though? I think Zero's just waiting for that Defire to come out before he fully commits.
I think XKC, we really got to focus on the fact that why would you, as a Zerg player, build your Hive at the natural base? And on match point, you know that your Hive is going to get hit by these tanks. It's standard play that tanks get at that ridge to attack. So I think that Zero made a huge blunder there, and he's going to lose all his tech ability to build tech units.
Well, here's the thing, though. Zero already has his Defire done, so if he loses a Hive, it's not too bad. And let's not forget that, upgrading your hatchery to an higher tier unit does give you, more hit points for that hatchery. So a Hive does have 2,500 hit points compared to 1,200 of a regular hatchery. So it's actually not too bad once you get your Defires down. But after that, it's pretty quick to re-upgrade. I think it's more of a matter of the fact that Zero lost that hatchery without much of a fight from him. That's the bigger problem rather than having the hatchery be the Hive.
Yeah, he really had too big of a force to just remain so passive. But I feel like Zero he doesn't find a way to trade it efficiently into this Terran force, and that's allowing him to have a lot of indecision here.
Right, this indecision does allow Sharp to already expand to his natural, so Sharp's actually, I would say, considerably ahead in this game right now. Because of that, he has a natural now, so he has two bases of economy working with, so he can continue to supplement this huge army he has in the middle of the map. Of course, it's going to give him even more opportunities to expand to a third later on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zero, he's only taken this later third base too, so it's not like he's been mining for it for a long time. So it was really a two-base economy versus one of Terran. That's not the worst situation for a Terran player to be in. Okay, but here it looks like the push out again with these Marines. The tanks are getting a lot of really good shots off, and the problem is that Dark Swarm isn't mixed in here to help keep these units alive. So Zero, he's going to lose things so quickly here. I really think that he maybe just lost too much of his army.
On the same token, though, Zero did manage to snipe two of Sharp's vessels, so there's only one vessel coming into play here right now. But look at this, though. Sharp already moving into the third base here. Only a couple lurkers, but it should be out-microed by these Marines. And I think the third base will fall.
Yeah, absolutely. We've all seen the classic video where Boxer micros against lurkers with just like, what is it, 4 Marines versus a lurker, and so this is just too easy for Sharp